right here, plan A. So what we're going to be doing first is assembling the front axle, it looks like. There's all the stuff you need, it shows. I'm going to lay out everything in this picture right here and show you what I put down right here, what we're going to be using for this assembly. Everything for this assembly is inside this bag, but if it's not, I'm going to go ahead and add that in right here. But if it is, this is all I'm going to show you right here. So everything in this bag should complete this assembly. So as you can tell right here, the screw bags are nicely labeled. It tells you what size screws are inside these bags right here. And over here, you can see it tells you what screws you need to assemble these parts. And on the bottom, just so you could easily find which screws are in here, if you can tell right here in the bottom of the instruction manual, they actually show you a little ruler in millimeters. So that correlates with the millimeters you need to measure for these screws, so you can find the screws easily. So I'm not going to show the screws you need because you're not going to be able to tell the scale anyway, but these are the parts you need right here to complete the front axle, including the steering servo, which is axle mounted. I'm not a big fan of that, but it should work good because that eliminates the bump steer issues. The instructions should be pretty straightforward, and we can get this together. So check it right here. This is how all this is supposed to be assembled. You have a little pin that goes through there, then you put this through the pin, that's what's going to hold it in place. You put that into this housing. You have to put these bearings onto the shaft first, one big bearing to go right here and a smaller bearing to go right here. And those can't come back out after you install all that. So that's how you assemble one side. We'll go to the next side. Alright, for this side, just going to put it through here. Oh yeah, don't forget your bearing. You're going to put a small bearing first and slide a big bearing in there. Don't worry, it doesn't have to go right on this right away. Just put it in there. Slide this through here. And then you're going to put this little pin through, like so. And then I gotta get this whole assembly. And you see that right there? You're gonna match it up with that pin in there. That's all I gotta do. And once that's together, like so, just make sure you push it all the way in so there's no gap right there. Now you just gotta spin it until you can line up the holes right here for the screws. And that completes that assembly right there. Also, what I like to do with these assemblies, so I like to put marine grease all over the bearings so no water can get in there. Potentially I like to, you know, kind of get some on your fingers right there and kind of roll it into there, kind of like pressing it in kind of. And get that onto all your bearings and then just grease up these shafts because I'm going to do some water runs and I don't want them to rust up and stuff. So yeah, just a little preventative stuff for doing this. Now I'm not going to probably use this grease right here. I usually use this stuff called marine grease, and that stuff usually works really well. I use the green grease, that's what it's called. I get it at my local AutoZone, so you might find it at your local auto parts store. I remember this is my first time building this kit, so hopefully I built this correctly. So let's get to it. So these screws right here that you need to put back here were inside this bag right here. That wasn't labeled anything. So this bag has like your servo saver spring and everything in it like that. That's the bag you're gonna find the screws for your diff, your ring gear to attach to your diff. So yeah, that's where you find that. 4 of those for each of them. You're gonna need yourself some of this stuff right here. Some blue Loctite's what I recommend. You don't want that red stuff, it's gonna be too permanent. So this right here is gonna be to install this onto here, and screw into there with the appropriate screw mentioned on the instruction manual. Alright, now we're going to put bearings in the hubs and assemble the axles. So this should be pretty straightforward right here. And once you button everything up, all the screws you're going to need to tighten everything together, it's going to be in the manual, so go ahead and refer to that for the size of screws you need. But I'll show you how to put the bearings in these things right here. So on your steering hubs right here, you're going to need a front bearing right here. Oh, sorry. It's going to be the smaller bearings. And one for the inside. You're going to have to press it in there. There you go. Once it's in there. Do that for the other side. And you're going to grab this piece right here. And that's going to go through here. Before it goes through there, you're going to shove one of the bigger bearings in there. You're going to want to put some marine grease in there right now as well to get this all coated and everything. I'm just leaving that step out, so just remember everything that's metal like this and everything, I'm just going to coat up in marine grease and everything. You're going to slide that down here. You can get this shaft right here. You can see there's a bigger part right here. It's going to be where the ring gear sits. Make sure to put the bearings where they belong. And drop that in. So you can tell the bearings go in certain spots in there. So they belong in areas and they sit in there nicely. That leaves me with a smooth running axle. Then you just grab this part. Cover like so. Now remember, marine grease all through this and everything. Once you have those two pieces together, you're going to grab these little hubs right here. They're labeled left and right, so make sure you got that on correctly. So for the front, this is going to be the right side, the smaller part of the diff cover. There you go, just press that in there. Grab the other one. Press that in there, like so. So you're going to grab this one right here. There's going to be an R on this one. See that right there? You're going to grab one of these, and with the bearings installed in there, remember, put some grease on all those bearings. Slide it in like so. That's going to go where it says right on this one as well. Line everything up like so, and you're going to use the required hardware to screw that in there. Same with all these screws right here as well. Same with this diff cover. You're just going to install it here after you marine grease everything obviously in there, and then put the 4 screws out here. So you know everything's plastic on plastic. When you tighten these screws, just remember everything nice and snug. Don't torque anything too crazy because you're just going to strip them. So now as you can tell right here, I installed the steering links. Pretty simple, not too hard to do. That's how it looks like. Now I'm going to put this link mount and servo mount as well in one on here. And this is how it goes on there. It's got little holes that go sliding through these right here. With the link mounts obviously facing the back. Put the 2 screws right here that you need for this, and you can follow the instructions because so far it's been good to me and it's been pretty accurate. So let's go ahead and continue this axle build. I'm going to put the screws to this. I'm going to install this part of the drive shaft onto here like so, with the screw that goes onto there. It's a little pin screw. So that's a nice mechanism they have for this right here. Everything seems to be running smooth right now. You want to make sure that's what's going on for sure. Nothing's binding. And servo goes on top of here, like so. And obviously all the servo horns and everything, servo saver attaches to here, but I'm going to do that last on my build because I want to turn this on first and center this before I attach all that. And you also have to install those 4 links. The shorter links are going to be attached over here, and the longer links down here. Now it's time to put these hexes on with these pins right here. So these pins are the skinnier but longer pins than these ones right here that go in your diff. And then you get your plastic hex right here. See those slots right there? You got 2 different slots. So hopefully you have a second set if you ruin the first one. Sometimes you're lucky like that. That just goes in like so. Make sure you have that pin centered. And there you go. That pin is in its location. That's ready to go. That'll easily slip out, so be careful with that. You might want to install this last when you're ready to put the tires on. Because as you can tell, that's how easily you can lose that pin. So now off to the rear drive shaft. Alright, so here's everything for the rear axle. The only thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to grease anything, but I will tell you what I'm supposed to be greasing. And also, I'm going to go ahead and probably cut out the part of me screwing in this part to the ring gear. So let's go ahead. So I'm assuming we're going to grab this. You're gonna grab this. You're gonna run that through. Grab one of these thicker pins. Stick it through here. And that locks that in place. Grab another pin. Stick it through here. There you go. That should hold both the pins in place nicely. We're going to slide stiff housing through right here to put it through this locker. This is locked up gears right here. Slide this through. Then you're going to line up the holes right here with the holes on the plastic, and then screw the 4 screws necessary for this build right here. Alright, there you go. That's all screwed in and assembled. Now, you hear all this noise right here? You can probably stop all that by stuffing marine grease in there before you screw this in and assemble it. So, stuffing some marine grease in there will definitely quieten that up. You might hear that while running the running video, but you know, I'll do all my greasing afterwards. Your pinion gear. I already screwed in the pinion gear right there. And I guess these bearings right here, there's a spot for a bearing there, so I would want to put a bearing there, but I guess they don't provide a bearing there. They just want the bearing on the diff and close it up. And then these just go out here. Because I was looking for the other 2 bearings and I was like, well, I only see 2 more, so I guess the ones in here which you can put bearings in, they don't provide it. But I would put bearings there. Then again, these shafts are pretty nice and thick, so they shouldn't bend or anything. Install all that and the 4 required screws right there. And you have 4 required screws right here. And then we're going to put this top bracket on like so, and then the 2 required screws right there. Short links on the top right here, long links on the bottom right here, and then the skinnier long pins through these holes, and then these hexes. And that will be fully assembled. Oh yeah, and obviously this part too. And that'll be a fully assembled rear axle. Alright, look at that, fully assembled. Only thing I don't like is when you have to service this. Let's say this ring gear goes, you have to disassemble this whole thing just to get to that pinion gear. I mean, not the ring gear, sorry. Actually, to both, to get them both out, you have to do that. But same with the WPL axle, you got to take this all apart to get to the ring. But the pinion on the WPL, you just remove the backing and you're at the pinion gear really easily. But that's the only thing, you know, just more to take off to get to the pinion gear. But anyway, I like this right here, countersunk screw. Really good right there. That's a pin screw that goes all the way through there, so that's not coming loose and that's not going to slip on the pinion. Really well built stuff right here. MN model stepped up the game for sure with this model. Bigger scale, they call it a 12 scale, so let's see once it's fully assembled. There you go. Front and rear axles done.